Hello and welcome to Tech with Heart. I am your host, Michelle Calloway. Tech with Heart's all about empowering entrepreneurs to embrace technologies, systems, and strategies that'll help them to stay competitive and relevant in today's rapidly changing digital era. And today's topic is a little different. We're going to be talking about empowering students through internships. Mostly we're talking about like what happens after high school, right? What happens after college? How can students do better to get real practical world experience before they step into trying to find a competitive entry-level position into industries of their choice? And so with me, we have a very special guest. His name is Nate Hoffman, and he's a communication major at UCLA, and he has studied the science of communication as well as the communication of marketing and law and the social cognition. So he's pretty well versed in a lot of different communication areas. He's a student leader who has been enjoying the public speaking arena and teaching other students. And he believes that in any environment, whether it be virtual or physical, he can have positive impact. And he encourages others to do so as well. So welcome to the Tech with Heart stage, Nate.
Hello, thank you, Michelle, for the introduction.
You betcha. I'm super excited about what we're going to talk about today because I think it's such a very imperative thing that small business owners can potentially, think about what would it look like to bring on an intern into their organization. But let's first ask you, tell us why you feel internships are such an important part of your young professional career.
Well, right off the bat, for me specifically, or I feel like any high school student, any college student, after you graduate college, after you graduate high school, you're kind of stuck. You don't really know what to do. So the classroom is great to learn skills such as public speaking, leadership, interpersonal, and you get those skills from the classroom. But how are you actually going to use them on like an everyday basis? So internships in general, they let you use all those skills to like an experience level in front of actual people. For example, you could get public speaking skills. If you're in a classroom, you raise your hand, you answer a question. That's cool. That's great. You're learning talking in front of people. But it's definitely different if you're in a business room or a meeting room talking to a bunch of corporate leaders or presenting a project that you are about to work on. So in the past, I worked in pharmacy, I worked in retail, and I worked in as a public speaking tutor. And I don't believe I would been able to excel if it wasn't for the classroom. So the classroom is great to get those skills, but it's kind of limited because again, you're just in the classroom. It's a very safe space. In the workplace, in internships, it's fast paced, it's chaotic. So any type of internship is about experience and opportunity. And that is very critical and crucial in your career in whatever it is, because you're put in different environments and you learn to adapt. And again, that all stems from the little skills you get into the classroom. When I worked in the pharmacy, I had no idea what I was doing, to be honest. I had no medical background and it was my first job ever. But again, I get little like excerpts from like the classroom, raising my hand, even just talking to the teacher or the professor one-on-one kind of helps with those little intimate public speaking skills, such as when you walk into the pharmacy. I was the clerk at the pharmacy, so the cashier. I was the first face you see at the pharmacy, and you need to put on a smiling face. You need to be welcoming. You need to talk to these customers. You need to learn how to talk to these customers so they don't get mad at you that you don't have their prescription. So at the same time, you need to learn to talk to your professor to learn how to get insights to your assignment. So those little connections that you draw from the classroom, you could bring into your internships, your workplace, to whatever it is, and it'll help you grow as a person in whatever job that you do.
You're so right, because you're learning practical skills in a classroom setting. You're learning the skills themselves, which are so foundational, but then putting those skills into practice, it's like that's where these internships can really, really help make the rubber meet the road kind of a concept, like give interns an opportunity to test out what they've learned. That's a beautiful thing. So I know you just mentioned you learned a few things through your pharmacy internship. What are some other things that you've really gotten out of it that are so invaluable by simply being an intern, that you value so much higher than if you were just thrown into the deep waters all on your own with nobody around to kind of guide you and mentor you?
Yeah, definitely. So with my public speaking position, when I was a public speaking tutor, I believe like internships specifically, it's kind of in the field that you want to do. So I've always been a big believer in using my voice, using my talents to do whatever I want to do. And something I mentioned earlier is like, oh, you're kind of testing with your skills that you already have. But I don't want that to get confused with you don't know what you're doing, because interns like me are very hungry. We are very determined. We are very committed to get the ground running and just on go mode. And for example, that public speaking position, of course, I wanted to always help people. And a little insight to that is I would just help people with speeches. And public speaking is the number one fear. And it was just so cool with taking something that someone is scared of and turning it into not a fear, but to a skill. So kind of the same way you see an internship, instead of a job, it's an opportunity, it's an experience that you get to, again, put your work on those critical thinking skills and to put yourself at a position where you could work on things that you have always wanted to do. So with my career path, I want to help people. Currently, as I work with the Tech with Heart Foundation, we're helping small business owners get tools with technology they never even heard of to propel their business. So kind of like the same thing, as I was a tutor, I was helping people find tools, find formats to help their speeches. So it's all connected, and it's just a great thing.
So the main difference, though, between an internship and, say, like an entry-level position at a corporation is the fact that as an intern, you're still being somewhat supervised heavily and mentored a bit, right? To like learn how to do what you already learned in school. Now you're applying it, what kind of tightening up, right? Tightening it all up so that when your next level is for you to go get an actual job with a lot more like practical integration of what you've learned in school to what it actually would look like and felt like to implement it in a job type setting, but yet you're not expected to have it all figured out yet.
And a great thing is you also have mentors along the way, people there to help you out, and connections and networking is also another big thing. And with internships, it's great to have all those too.
Now, what would you say in regards to confidence level? Can you speak to that? What has an internship done for your confidence level based upon what you already learned in school? So there's that foundational knowledge base that you can pull from, but what has an internship done for you in the way of building your confidence?
I believe confidence is the biggest key to almost everything. As a young child, I was always in sports, and I started out to like not be very good at them. And I was a very shy kid. I was very scared of like everything. But then I learned how confidence and your mental is a big thing. So with internships, it's always like very important to keep in mind that nothing is ever perfect and mistakes are fine. And just because you make them doesn't mean that like that defines you. And for example, internships is you learn along the way. It's about learning and getting those experiences. And if you mess up once and you just in your head, you think about that one mess up, it's going to ruin your confidence. But if you stay true and committed to the skills again that you learned in the classroom throughout your whole life, and you bring those to internships and you get one internship, that should boost your confidence even more. When I got selected to be the social media manager and events coordinator at Tech with Heart, I told my family, I was like, hey, I got this position, and it's because these are my skill sets and this was my resume. And that just on paper should also be in your head at the same time, and you take those to the internship, and that's kind of how you carry yourself. And again, like doing doing one thing for an internship, one position once, it's not going to go well, but the more you do it, the more confident you'll be in it, and it's just all about practice. So just because something doesn't work out once, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. That internship alone should already give you confidence that, hey, you got selected for a reason, and this is for that reason. You can do whatever they're telling you to do. So that's something that I always keep in mind, whether it's internships, whether it's school, in my social life, or whatever position that I'm in.
So let's just say that you just graduated college, because I know you're currently still in college. So it's a perfect time to do internships. But let's just say you graduated from high school or college with no internship experience. How confident would you be to be able to be competitive to go get an entry-level position in the industry of your choice?
So there's two things that I would think about. One would be my own skill sets, and two would be, am I the best fit? And that term best fit to any team can be different. But for example, my background is public speaking and leadership. If I apply to a position that is like in film, of course, I'm not going to be that confident in it. But if I apply to a position that is like a social media manager, I would be more confident. And sure, I don't have the experience, but on the resume, I have the skills, and maybe I've taken certain courses. So I could highlight my emphasis on those skills and those courses, or maybe I volunteered at something and that's the only experience I could bank on. So I would just emphasize on that more. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if you're confident and if you give them their resume, and if you get that interview, it's about how you portray yourself. And if you're confident in your resume and what you emphasize, of course, you're going to portray yourself like, hey, I am the best fit. But if you're thinking in your head, oh man, they won't select me because I don't have a lot of experience, you can't really think like that. You need to have that confidence, because when you carry yourself in front of them, they're going to be like, hey, he is the best fit because this is how he carried himself. Sure, he doesn't have the experience, but his interview was a reflection on what he could be on the team. So that's how I would think of it.
Being able to do business online is crucial for survival, especially during times of social distancing. So how do you survive and thrive in the sea of digital noise? It's a lot like fishing. You need to know who your perfect customer is so that you can use the right kind of lure to attract them. We help you catch your perfect customer and retain them for future sales through highly converting websites, influencer mobile apps, getting you featured in the news and on TV. Hi, my name is Jerry Bowden, U.S. Army veteran and president of Revealio Software Solutions. Our goal is to help you rise above the competition, be seen as an expert authority in your industry, and embrace technology to stay competitive for long-term success. It's more affordable than you may think. So reach out to us at revealio.com, and together we will make your business come alive.
Well, that's good that you think of it that way, because that is definitely a sign that you're a leader and that you're a go-getter. But I know for a fact that when I was young and I was stepping into a career field as an entry-level position, I was expected, because I had that skills training in school, to be able to hit the ground running and make pretty big decisions without having anybody kind of oversee me. And it did feel a lot like, oh, wow, I wish I kind of had an opportunity to be under somebody's wing while I tried implementing what I was learning in school and get some of that more practical real world experience. So I can speak, for the confidence level. I think internships definitely provide confidence building, but then they also provide even more resume portfolio exposure of real practical projects in the real world, rather than student or like collaborative student projects or whatnot in school. For instance, the other thing I recommend to young students that are out there possibly listening to this right now, if you are not capable of obtaining an internship opportunity, one of the things I do recommend is that take what you've learned in school and maybe go build a project of your own that wasn't assigned in school, but something that you can prove that, hey, I thought about it. This is what I know I can do. And I've thought about a real world use case for such skills. And I went and I built something, and now I can showcase that as a real world project, even if it was for a personal project. Does that make sense, Nate?
Yeah, it definitely does. Because one thing I like to say is, when applying to other positions, internship positions, there'll be a section and they'll ask you for like your work that you did. And me having some little experience, I don't have I forgot what the programs were, but they're asking some examples of these programs that were used, and I've never used them. However, there's certain projects that I've done throughout my courses, and they could be like little things too. And I believe a lot of students like me can kind of relate to this, where you write an essay, you do a project, and you're like, hey, this could be applicable to anything really. For example, there's this essay I wrote. I don't know, Michelle, have you seen the movie Us, the horror film?
Oh,
And
the horror film?
yeah, it's like a scary movie, but it's very very philosophical, and it's a good breakdown of like the dichotomy of the social class. And so something that kind of shows a deeper thinking with something simple like that, you could upload that somewhere, and that could be your proof of work that, hey, you are a critical thinker, you go beyond what is needed. Another thing that I have is when I was a public speaking tutor, yes, I would present in lectures and I would show what the professor would give me to the students, but I would go beyond that and create my own slideshow. So if there's anything that you created, even for yourself, to enhance your learning, maybe you could use that, slap that on there to your application and be like, hey, this is what I've done to excel, to stand out. And then companies will see that and be like, hey, this person does more than what is needed.
Exactly. That's what we're looking for, to be honest, to cut through the noise and to rise above the competition. If even as a student intern, is show your go-getiveness. Yeah, be a go-getter and go above and beyond. I don't encourage anybody to just do status quo just to get by in life or in business or anything. Be a go-getter and show people that you are worthy of their time and an investment, because to be honest, small businesses, they just can't afford to have a high turnover rate. So they're looking for people to come in and stick around for quite some time, and of course add value and grow their business. So if you are a student, looking to gain some opportunities in the real world, of your industry choice, then keep those types of things in mind. Is why would somebody want to invest their time into you versus somebody else that has the exact same skill set from the exact same college? What's going to separate you from the rest? So I'm going to shift the narrative a little bit now, Nate. We're going to talk about, as a minority, you're a minority student. Do you feel that internship programs that focus on supporting underserved minority groups are important, especially in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling to sunset the affirmative action program?
So the short answer is yes. But to go deeper, when I think about the term affirmative action, the first word that comes to my mind is diversity. And I'll give a little analogy with me. Think about a sports team, football, basketball, soccer, whatever team sport it is. So basketball, there you have different positions. If your basketball team has 5 all centers or all point guards, all people with the same height, they're not going to succeed because it's not diverse enough. Same sports and companies are kind of the same. If you have a company, it's all CEOs, all people that think the same with that CEO mindset, or it's all interns. They're not going to succeed as well. It's important for these for internship programs to accept undeserved minority groups because of that term only, diversity. Because to make your team diverse, you bring understanding. When you bring understanding, you bring learning. And then when you learn, you grow. You have an economics of treating different ideals. And without that, there is no growth. So it's very important to keep the team diverse. My background is Filipino and Vietnamese. So I was exposed to different traditions growing up, and that's what made me who I am today. So it's important, again, for the company, for their culture to be diverse because of that growth. And without inclusiveness, without diversity, there is a lack of discourse. The team will just be a reflection of each other. But however, if you have all different minds thinking different different ways they grew up, different genders, different ideologies. There was more discourse, and there was more, it's going to be more successful. Again, back to like that basketball analogy, if there's everyone that thinks the same way, everyone that acts the same, where's that team actually going to go? Compared to if you have a team of different backgrounds, they could go so much further because of their inclusiveness and how the team's diverse.
No, I love your answer. I absolutely love the diversity. I love working with different diverse age groups as well. It's not just a cultural thing, but it's like an age thing. Sometimes the young people really bring in a very different perspective that really kind of can empower older generations to be thinking a little differently for what's more relevant in today. And that's what I love so much about the Tech with Heart Foundation, is that we seem to be attracting older small business owners who want to gravitate towards embracing technology more. But through our minority student internship program, we get like the fresh views, the fresh perspectives, and we're always constantly growing and evolving and learning from each other. Because believe it or not, I mean, you were saying as a student, you can gain so much knowledge by hanging out with people who are actively doing something similar, like leading. I know, like, you know, I'm a communication specialist as well. And so it's fun working with you, Nate, because I can feed off of you and you can feed off of me, and we both end up growing, which is really cool. And so that's kind of where I wanted to talk about next. Like, if you're listening to this Tech with Heart episode and you are a small business owner who could use some assistance with a certain part of your business, why not consider bringing on an intern and, you know, help them grow, but let them help you grow, right? It's a win-win. But then also, if you are in a phase of your life where you just have exceeded your expectations, you're successful, and now you're ready to just give time back and breathe life into those that are stepping into a realm in which you would have appreciated more of when you were young, then perhaps you would be a great fit for our internship program as a mentor and teacher, because we're constantly looking for experts in the realms of marketing and social media and copywriting, right? And communications and events management and web design and development, and even into software design and development. So if that is you and you are ready to give back, just know that Tech with Heart does focus on minority and underserved communities. We want to provide impact where, unfortunately, sometimes students are overlooked because of their diverse cultural, whatever it is. I can't even speak to the why sometimes these things happen, but we want to make sure that those minority and underserved students are not overlooked anymore. We want to make them shine so bright that they have just as much opportunity and competitive edge as anybody with, no matter how much money that their families were able to throw at college institutions or whatnot. So with that said, Nate, can you tell us a little bit about what attracted you to want to apply for our Tech with Heart Foundation's student internship program for the minority groups?
Yeah, of course. So I started out with applying to LA Tech, and with LA Tech, they have a list of different jobs or positions to apply for. And I remember the first one I applied for was Go. I don't know if you're familiar with Go. It's like just a shoe shopping thing. And I just applied because, like, oh yeah, I like shoes, whatever. And then I saw the Tech with Heart Foundation position, and it was about it was the social media one, but then I believe there was like a link to the website, and something that kind of drew me into it was it said it empowered minorities, or it just empowering students. There's like a student program aspect of it. And going back to as when I was a public speaking tutor, I like myself as a student, I know how hard it is to be a student, especially when I was a tutor. It was during the pandemic, and in general, it was hard to be motivated as a student, but I worked my way around it. And as I was tutoring these students, I was like, hey, I could make a change too. And the same way as I'm motivated, I could put that motivation on students too. So when I saw the Tech with Heart Foundation, it was like, oh, these people are doing the same thing as what I was doing when I was a tutor. When I was a tutor, I was guiding people that kind of didn't know what to do. and then to get something like a speech, and they get confidence from it, they learn a new skill set, and it's something they could take to the real world. And I feel like that's something that Tech with Heart Foundation does. It enhances your skills, it helps your critical thinking, but most importantly, little things that you learn here, you take to the real world on an everyday basis, no matter what that is. Whether it's just working like on a Zoom call, or if it's just doing data entry, you could take all the stuff and to a real world job or whatever you're doing, you could apply it there. So I think that's what's great with the Tech with Heart Foundation. But yeah, again, looking at the website and seeing that empowering students is something that really caught my eye. And especially times like these, students today are very competitive, and they are very willing to not only learn, they are determined, and they'll do anything to get to a job that they want to do. And for small business owners that are looking to hire interns or minority groups, that's something that should be kept in mind, that these students, including like me, are always willing to work. And we have a lot of ideas. We are young. We have a lot of ideas that we could bring to the table from like pop culture to attract more people that have not even been thought of. And at the same time as Michelle and I work together, Michelle helps me, guides me with a lot of things. And it's like a positive feedback loop. She also sees how I work and like my mindset. And that is like the same as other students. So she learns as well. So but no matter what it is, two coworkers working together, a CEO and an intern, they both are feeding off of each other. And it's that energy that helps that company, that program grow. Same thing as like that diversification, that inclusiveness, is that there's different types of people, and it allows discourse that helps that company be successful. So again, yeah, when I saw that empowering students, it's like, hey, I want to be in this because not only can they empower me, but I believe that I could have some ideas that could help them as well. And then I applied for it.
That's awesome. That was a great testimonial of the power of just opening that door as for an intern program. You know, I truly find so much value. I know you mentioned earlier to me that you light up when you see others light up because of the presenting of the knowledge and the sharing of the education materials, guiding them, directing them when you've done that for students. And through our Tech with Heart internship, we are going to give Nate opportunities to host educational events for small business owners as well. So he's going to get real practical opportunities to lead. But what is so gratifying and fulfilling is when you see the impact that your efforts have made in the life of somebody. It's just so fulfilling. Even if you just go to bed knowing you impacted one person in a positive way that helped them grow and to become a better version of themselves or be more competitive in their business landscape or their student career path, you know, it's just so gratifying. What would you say as far as like one nugget of or a phrase or a thought that you would leave impressed upon any possible mentor or teacher that we could maybe have come into the Tech with Heart program to breathe life into a student such as yourself?
Well, for me, my my mentor at the time for the public speaking position, Laura Mayuga, she said, Nate, you haven't realized how much that you have impacted your students. And that's something that I kind of took for granted. I didn't realize how impactful I helped them in their academic career until it was all done. So one thing that I would say for mentors or people that should always be kept in mind is that your work with whatever you do, you may think that, oh, it's so simple because it's something you do on an everyday basis. But someone like me, some other student, they could hear one sentence that you say, and that goes a very long way. One little example, one little interaction that you have with someone, to you is like, okay, cool. But to them, it's like, hey, this is something that I could take on another level. And it's something that has given me confidence. For example, when Michelle showed me a database and then I finally figured out how to do it. For Michelle, it's like, oh, he knows how to do it. But then for me, it's like, oh, I just learned something that I have never done before. And that little thing has shown me I could do other things I've never done before, and I'll be fine and I'll be successful for it. So just in general, just little things that you say, little things that you interact with other people, it goes a long way, even if you don't think about it.
Thanks, Nate. So if you're tuning in right now and you are ready to breathe life into a young person, a college age student or a high school age student in your industry, like whatever that is, reach out to techwithheartfoundation.org and let us know that you're interested in mentoring and teaching some of our young students. And if you are feeling generous and would like to help make sure that these student interns are indeed financially supported through the internship program, we are a nonprofit organization, and your donation can be written off as charity, and you can improve and impact a student's life with your giving. So please go to techwithheartfoundation.org and choose to donate and support our efforts to empower minority students through this internship program. If you're a corporation and you'd like to partner with us to make sure that we can bring even more students to the table, we'd love to have you partner with us. Again, go to techwithheartfoundation.org. We appreciate you tuning in here today. Thank you, Nate, for sharing. And here is to your success.
Your story needs to be seen and heard, and your brand needs to be revealed. Revealio elevates purpose-driven businesses into the spotlight through video storytelling, augmented reality video marketing, and professional website design. Get discovered online or in the news. Be featured in national magazines or host your own TV, podcast, or live radio show. Together, we make your brand come alive. All it takes is Revealio. Visit Revealio.com to get started today. Minority and service disabled veteran owned.